Disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Do not attempt this at home. Vitiated how to will not be responsible because you decided to be a cheap ass and not hire a professional.
On with the show.
Well, I'm not quite sure how I was going to label this when I put it on YouTube and wherever else I put it. But someone I know, I'm not going to put their business out there too much, but I'm going to put the situation out there because it seems to be my whole generation is doing it. And below, and I don't really understand what the fuck y'all's problem is. There's a guy I know, he's been married to his wife 20 plus years. He had a really good job, and she, I guess you would consider a trophy wife. I think they had 2 or 3 kids together, something like that. So what have you, and seemed like, they did all kind of shit together. He made sure they had a really good life and this and that and what have you. And now, about this time, they are getting a divorce. Now that the youngest child is almost grown, which is kind of weird. It seems like it's kind of a spur of the moment. I don't know a lot of the details, and I'm not going to say the details I do know. I just know that this has been a trend, a socially acceptable trend, where the woman has been in the relationship for 20 plus years, and now all of a sudden it's socially accepted to leave the guy high and dry. Face value, the relationship looked like it was great. It may or may not be. That's not my decision to make. It's an observation. As well as all these other observations I've noticed with my generation. It has become to where the women are now divorcing the men for whatever the reason is and taking them to the cleaners. Some of them are really good guys. Some of them are POSs, some of them it's probably true. And some of them are probably really good guys. But because of the American social acceptability of this bullshit going on, to where it's acceptable for a woman to up and leave without anything, and then he's got to pay all the money. He's got to give her half of everything he's worked his ass off for to make sure she had. Then they get the fucking alimony. Then they get, like the younger generations, get all the fucking child support and all this other stuff. And it blows my mind. And it makes me think. If you're a woman that's in your 50s, 40s, we'll go late 35, and you had a relationship that was 20 years, and you up and dipped, and you're a woman that's in their late 30s, we'll go 40s and 50s, the person you had was your best bet. That was your best bet at having someone that faithfulness. Because after that, you just became a liability. Your most important assets were when you were younger. Now people are just going to look at it as paying full price for a Happy Meal with baggage and wore out holes. That's just how they're going to look at it now. Because you've done late in life, and now you really don't have that much to offer on average. There are some women out there that still have their careers. I know a few of them that have careers and they are single. But they are on that pedestal to where they think they're this and this, and they're not that and that. So they're happy with saying they're single, but we know the down low of what's really going on. And that's okay too. You want to live your life, that's fine. That's a whole nother topic. It's just my point in all this is how have we ended up this way? To where it has become socially acceptable to take the breadwinner. Now, I'm not saying they all are, but some of the ones I do know for a fact are, and for them, just for their wives just to up and fucking leave just because it's becomes socially acceptable. Now, I understand when the money changes a little bit because, yeah, I know someone that had a girlfriend, and when his job changed and he was making a little bit less money, she up and dipped on him. I also know a friend that because he'd been working since he was 11 years old like I did, and he got to a point where he couldn't do it anymore, but they were still financially stable. It's just he wasn't making the money that his wife wanted them to be making. So that put a strain on it, and they really didn't need the money, and they don't need the money, but she thinks they do. So that it has become a financial issue because she wanted the money and he no longer can do it because he physically cannot do it. So back to the other thing. With that issue, it's till death do you part. That's the whole point of getting married, because you're husband and wife. When your other spouse cannot physically do it, you're supposed to help out. And this one friend is not the only person I know. I mean, I've known another one. I know another guy that he physically could not do it anymore. He got sick, and as soon as he started getting sick, his wife left him. At a drop of a hat, she just left him. And she's about my generation, Generation X. And it's crazy. And now the state where I'm from, when something like that happens, if you got a spouse that is ill like that, or if there's a problem like this or whatever, and the spouse can't provide or this or that, you can't divorce them in that state. The state has made sure that you cannot just up and leave them and abandon them. But now that doesn't mean the rest of the country, they're not doing it. It's just I don't understand what's going on with you people. I don't know if it's too much social media, if it's too much TikTok, if it's too much Facebook. I mean, what the hell is y'all's problem? Yeah, I kind of, later in life, I found somebody, my wife, that it has the same values and the same work ethic as I do. And I was in my 30s. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I ain't got no kids. She does. And yeah, along the same lines, she would be considered the same thing as what I just stated in the beginning of the video, to a point. But that difference was, she didn't need me to take care of her kids. She was doing it on her own. She just needed a companion. So with that being said, that aspect of life is okay with me, because I wasn't the one being forced to try to help take care of anything. And I understand that aspect of it. But now you have a woman that leaves the man. Now she's looking for something that's greener on the other side. And all the men that have not been in relationships for 20 years are not interested in being with someone that's been in a relationship like that, and they up and left. They're not interested in that, because to them, that's problematic and that's a red flag. If you're going to leave somebody you've been in that relationship for that long and you just up and leave them, I understand that there's issues, and I understand there's reasons. Sometimes they're abusive, sometimes they're this, sometimes they're that. I understand that. But when you meet a person, you can always tell. Just having a conversation with them, you can tell if they're full of shit or not. So, with that being said, all you single guys out there, this is my observation. If I was in the dating pool as of 2024, everything I just talked about would be a red flag to me. Everything. Because it has become socially acceptable for women to be outlandish and do some crazy ass things to men and not be held accountable for it. And also, there's another subject on that one. And I do understand there has been some socially acceptable garbage that men have done. But that hasn't affected me, and that's the people around me that's not happened to. So I can't speak about those other things. I can only speak about what I've seen and I observed on my side of the fence. So, the fact of the matter is, until we change as a society and this stops being the norm, we're going to have the chaos that we have, and the government's going to keep doing what they're doing to us, and social media is going to keep taking our freedom of speech away, and the news is going to keep being the news. And they figured it out. If the home is in disarray, then they have all the power in the world. It starts with at home. It starts with your family. It starts with your kids. You control that. You can help control everything else.